Hi everyone. I am Yadnesh. First of all, I would like to thank the entire Roscon India team and COEP Technological University for giving me a chance to give this talk. I am 21 years old, by the way, and I'm not much older than you. Most of the students here are at my age. So I am a research fellow at Apart Research and research collaborator at Cohere Labs. From past few years, I've been working on mechanistic interpretability, reasoning and reinforcement learning, robotic learning, and discovery-driven AI systems. So today, mainly, I will be talking about how the reinforcement learning and generative AI paradigms are reshaping the field of robotics. So a few months back, Richard Sutton and David Silver, who are the pioneers of reinforcement learning, released this cool new paper called Era of Experience. So what they said that we are entering into a era of experience. So what's this era of experience? You can see this graph, this blue line is how much attention is on there in reinforcement learning throughout the last decade. So from 2014 to 2020, there was this era of simulation, and we got Atari, AlphaGo, AlphaZero from Google DeepMind, and also GPT-3. But from that point, the focus on reinforcement learning was not that much, because we discovered that scaling laws works, and by putting enough compute and data, we can scale up these large language models. And there was this era of human data where data was scaled drastically, and we got LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude by Anthropic, and Gemini. And now we are back again riding the wave of reinforcement learning. From last year onwards, we have got computer use agents, alpha proof. There is also a major development in robotics learning. So we are moving towards this era of experience where robots will not be just learning from a static environment. They will start learning from their own experience and as well as the outer environment. So how many of you know about Moravec's paradox? Anyone? A few hands there, last. So Moravec's paradox is, it's not a law or statement, it's an empirical observation by researchers. So it states that some skills or the tasks which are easier for humans to do are very much harder for robots to do, and the things which are easier for robots are pretty much harder for humans. For example, humans excel at dexterous manipulation, because a 5-year-old boy can solve this Rubik's Cube, but as you can see, the robot hand is struggling. Or simple manipulation tasks, robots are struggling much. But robots excel at reasoning and processing images. We can scale up. Current robots also use web data, internet pre-trained data to do certain tasks. And the focus of the entire robot learning is to how we can solve this Moravec's paradox. So remember one thing, that everything which is verifiable can be solved by AI. That's a huge statement, and it's not a statement of fear, it's a statement of excitement. So things which are not verifiable, that are much harder. So robotics comes in the gray area, which is there are some things which are verifiable, some things which are not verifiable. And we will see how the progress is going on to solve this uncertainty. So before moving ahead, let's see a difference between classical learning and robotic learning. So classical robotics is deterministic. We have a static environment. There is no change, or there is no any dynamic structure to the environment. There is strong reliance on analytical dynamics, all sorts of kinematics, handcrafted controllers. And basically, classical robotics can't be scaled at a higher level. There are various scalability issues. Every new task requires manual new feature engineering. And even if we put a lot of data inside the classical robot, it can't much learn from that particular data. So how does robotic learning change that? So robotic learning treats robotics as a data-driven optimization problem. The robot learns using reinforcement learning policies, perception modules, and control strategies. So the robot is able to plan, navigate, and reason as it does the tasks. The important thing is the world is treated as uncertain, dynamic, and partially observed. Basically, there is a simulation part of the world and there is the real world part. So the focus is much more on the how we can learn from the real world, because real world is uncertain. We are sending robots to Mars. Spot robots from Boston Dynamics are doing inspection in nuclear reactors. There are some cases like rescuing and navigation. So things like that are pretty much uncertain, and we want to deploy this system into uncertain world, and they should be able to learn and navigate through the uncertainty. And they have also a shared backbone for perception, reasoning, and action. And also we will talk about action chunking transformers. So the actions are represented as action chunks. So we are not throwing classical robotics away. We are just stacking RL and generative AI on top of it. So things like kinematics, dynamics, and control, SLAM, simulation from classical robotics, learning policies, offline RL, learning from experience and environment from reinforcement learning, and the generative AI part, which is pretty popular right now, like VLMs, VLAs, 3D reconstruction, diffusion and flow matching, and high-level planning and action chunking transformers. So the ultimate goal of robot learning is to build a general-purpose embodied intelligence by learning to make sequential decisions in the physical world and learn from experience, not sit there just doing some random task in a static environment. So generalization has three key things. First of all, a good generalization requires a lot of data, and not static data. The data should have a certain diversity in it. It should not be that the robot is trained on the similar kind of tasks. Then it should have a robust model or representation. So it should learn from the experience or internal concepts the robot develops while doing the particular tasks. And the training and objective part, which is that the reward the robot will get from its environment should force that robot to develop new strategy, new plans, and which is also part of navigating into a dynamic world. So the data set part. We will see how data set is collected for this generalist model. So a few years back, around 2023, Google released this, the OpenX embodiment dataset, which is, by the way, everyone should check out how robot dataset is created. And this datasets show, it was a breakthrough. Basically, all these concepts like VLAs and VLMs were actually started because of this dataset. So there are three key important things for which researchers observed. The first is that specialist robot has a very limited training data, and generalist robot outperform the specialist robots. So how do they do it? The obvious reason is, as you know, ChatGPT has been trained on internet scale data. So it knows everything, every video from YouTube, social media sites like Reddit, Twitter, every conversation, every research paper. So it has a lot of diverse data, and LLMs learn from it. We apply similar concepts here. So this data set is a collective effort of 34 research labs across 21 institutions. So the ironical thing is, even if Google is a $3 or $4 trillion company, it can't build its data sets alone. So it needs certain collaboration between institutions around the globe. So it has various tasks included in it, like dexterous manipulation tasks, household tasks, common chores, cleaning, and also some repair tasks which are done by robotic hands, and it has 22 embodiments. So the next breakthrough was that generalist models can acquire skills that are completely absent in the particular robot. So this is an interesting thing. Think about that a robot is trained on a particular training data and it learns from only that particular training data. So this is a common concept everybody knows. But after a certain amount of pre-training, say let's say 50%, the robot is able to learn from other robots. So for example, robot A and robot B. Robot A knows how to do efficient dexterous manipulation, and robot B doesn't know how to do it. So because if the robot B is trained on this OpenX embodiment data, it is able to do that task even if it has not seen or it doesn't know how to do dexterous manipulation. So it was kind of a breakthrough in the generalist model research. This is known as cross-robot knowledge transfer. Yesterday, Physical Intelligence released this paper that we don't need teleoperation, and teleoperation can be completely removed through the robotic dataset pipeline by just giving the robot human to robot AI videos. So one of my friends, Eddie Zhu from San Francisco, he is just 18 years old, and he has built this world's largest robotic embodiment dataset. So what he did was, actually it's pretty much interesting that how the data is collected. So what he did was, he built a certain wrist cams and head cams, and he gave it to the workers in China. So the workers had wrist cams. The workers were pretty much working in a factory, assembling electronics and stuff, and the video was generated. So 10,000 hours of video was generated, different tasks like assembling a smartphone or assembling a chip or any electronic device, and that data set was used. And so he did that. He took a subset of OpenX embodiment dataset and his own dataset, and he also observed the thing that generalist models certainly outperform by a huge leap than specialist model. So here is the vision language action model. So the wave of VLA and VLMs started by Google DeepMind, particularly from the OpenX embodiment dataset. I will just go through how this architecture works. So we give two kinds of inputs to the VLA. The first is the input text or prompt, just like you give it to ChatGPT, do something like this. So similar kind of prompt we give to the VLA. That can be like simple tasks like pick up the apple and place it in a basket. And the robot looks and it analyzes everything. So basically the vision module of the robot sees the task and it chops into images, and the images are processed as image embeddings, and the text is processed as text embeddings. And the role of VLM is not a complicated thing. Gemini, ChatGPT, all are VLMs in a certain sense. So a LLM which can perform vision task is a VLM. So it maps this vision embeddings and text embeddings in a shared latent multimodal representation, and it passes through to the diffusion transformer blocks. And in green blocks, you can see the embodiment specific module for the robot. So the state encoder encodes the certain states, like the position of the gripper or the state of the robot, and the actions are encoded. These are some noisy actions, which we will see how diffusion transformer work to decode these actions. And furthermore, the actions are generated. So let's see how a diffusion transformer work. So it's similar to Nano Banana Pro or any image generators which are also pretty popular these days. Similar concept of diffusion is used in this. So we add a noise to the actions and we denoise them reversely. So this is a large behavior model diffusion transformer by Toyota Research. And a similar concept is used, which is used to generate images. And we generate actions in this. We generate action trajectories. So an action trajectory can be of 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Just move your arm and pick up the apple. So it doesn't happen in a continuous sense, in a continuous time frame. It takes a break, it reasons and think about what should be the motor speed, what should be the velocity, and all those stuff. So physical intelligence also released this flow model, VLA with flow models, in which they replaced diffusion and used flow matching models. So we will see how the flow matching is better than diffusion models. So diffusion is kind of a complex process. As you can see, there is jagged path in diffusion, and in flow matching there is this smooth path. So action should be not be laggy or noisy. They should be at smooth, because we care about the smoothness, how effectively or how efficiently the robot is performing that action. And we use flow matching. Flow matching is generally prepared by most of the VLAs nowadays. And they also released Pi.5 vision language action model, which again comes into the fact that general robots are replacing the specialist one. And it uses action chunking. So what action chunking is that we don't predict actions in a one go. The model predicts 50 chunks or 100 chunks of actions in 1 second of time frame. And the model actually thinks about which action to take, which action to not to take. And then comes the Pi.6 VLA, which learns from the experience. So they use something called as a recap, which is RL with experience and correction via advantage condition policies. So this is the latest frontier. You can imagine where is robotics now. So this model showcases that robots can learn from experience. So how do they do it? They don't use traditional RL algorithms like PPO or reinforce. They do something like the robot predicts some actions, they collect the rollouts of that particular actions, and they segregate the actions between good actions and bad actions. So the algorithm of recap forces the robot to always choose good actions and discard the bad actions. So what is the meaning of learning from experience? So the robot should improve autonomously through experience, and it should have long horizon robustness. The robot should not be able to do tasks for a few minutes. It should be able to do the task for continuously for long hours. And from this Pi 0.6, we can see that the robots are able to recover from failure and handle deformable objects like fluids, laundry, etc. So the last part, I have just few slides remaining. What as a student you can do to contribute to robot learning ecosystem and the overall open source robot learning community. So the first thing is start learning about robot learning. It's an very interesting field. It's emerging, and our future will be controlled by robot learning, and all these robotic systems will be much heavily dependent on robot learning. And there is this robot learning tutorial by Hugging Face, which you can check out. And so here are some things you can do by following the tutorial. Build new robot data sets. Try to run your own new policies. Just build SO100 arms. The procedure is given in this GitHub repo of LayRobot. And try to replicate the paper. Try to make your own VLA module on your own data sets. All the data sets are westernized, or some Chinese data sets are there. We don't have any scalable Indian data set. And lastly, you can learn about LayRobot and about small VLA. So you have been hearing about VLAs, but you should be actually able to program that and use your own data sets and new policies on the VLA. So small VLA is also open source compact VLA, and you can check the actual code on the GitHub. How does the small VLA works? And you can use simple. You don't need a setup or GPUs or complicated stuff, you can use small robotic arms which are SO100 or SO101 arms for this. And here are some essential papers to check out. I will highly recommend to check out these papers by Physical Intelligence and Google DeepMind.
Questions?
Thank you very much. Yeah.